Good evening. This is Rudy Giuliani, and this is America's Mayor Live. Live from sundown in Palm Beach. And we're thinking from all the way here in Palm Beach about what's really going on in Ukraine. We've got another weekend, a weekend where a lot of time is devoted to trying to reach a peace, both there and in the Middle East. The Middle East seems to be going the other way right now, which we'll discuss a little later. But here this week, we got to a modest ceasefire, meaning an agreement not to hit electrical facilities, not to hit facilities that would basically imperil an entire city or town. As much for the benefit of the Russians as the Ukrainians, because they've been doing it to each other. The problem that we have is that Putin would not agree to a ceasefire, which originally Zelensky wouldn't agree to. You might remember several weeks ago when Zelensky came to the White House, very angry and very upset, and I think quite inappropriately. But the more important thing was after it was over, he made a statement that was extremely damaging in saying that the war would go on forever, portraying to some of us who believe that he's more interested in the money flow than the lives of his people, left us really quite convinced that Zelensky had to go and that he's been a problem for a year and a half. I still think that's true. I can't imagine a man fighting a war that he knows he can't win for a year and a half, watching his people get destroyed, making himself president for life, ruling by martial law, and watching hundreds of billions of dollars come in, and actually saying that he didn't know what happened to $100 billion, when he knows that I know his background as the creature of a rotten, crooked oligarch, one of the worst in Ukraine. His upbringing in terms of his profession, he was completely made by Kolomoisky, probably one of the most crooked oligarchs and distrusted oligarchs in Ukraine, who had been exiled until he funded the little man's campaign, and then he was brought back, and now he's been put in prison. But in any event, all of the reams of information, the unbelievable amount of evidence that Zelensky has that could deliver his people from bondage, in the sense that they could recover money from the people who've been sucking their blood for the last 10 years. He's covering it all up to help the people who sucked their blood all these years, and they're getting plenty more money in there. And the only thing stopping that would be the end of the war. And I think he thought he could have outmaneuvered Trump to keep this thing going another 6 months or a year. Who knows? Could be another 20, 30, 40 billion that he doesn't know where it went. I have a feeling, no. I know where it went. I've been in Ukraine a lot. I know how crooked it is. And I tell you that it would not be shocking to say that Ukraine is, well, it's not shocking. It's absolutely true that Ukraine is one of the 5 most corrupt countries in the world. Is it more corrupt than Russia? On a big scale, no. Russia's much bigger dollars. On a per capita scale, maybe. It's harder to do business, honestly, in Ukraine than in Russia, because Ukraine's smaller, and particularly when Poroshenko was there, he tried to get into every deal, and you had to push back big time and just refused to do the deal, which I did many times. But I'm telling you, all that money that we're putting in, which only a small fraction of which is going to help the Ukrainian people, if we succeed in creating a independent Ukraine, whatever, right now we're going to create one of the 10 most corrupt countries in the world. Because if anything, Zelensky's made it worse with the doing away with the election, doing away with accountability, saying stupid things like, I don't know what happened to 100 billion. He's clearly a product of the oligarchy and should be kicked out on his very tiny ass. and put somebody in there who's a patriot. And he made a very big mistake after doing a very smart thing. Let's look at the map. So that's what Ukraine has pretty much looked like now. Honestly, that's pretty much the way Ukraine looked since Obama gave it away in 2014. In fact, Russia had all that, but about 2% of it. But it didn't have it, and the world didn't recognize it. The only thing the world recognized, or some of the world recognized, was Crimea, right there. Now, that wasn't hard because Crimea wanted to be, of all the places that Trump has taken, of all the places that Putin has taken, that Trump and the others have disputed, the place that probably would have won a vote for Russia is Crimea. When 14 was settled, they had Crimea for sure, and they had, I don't know, some kind of control over Donbass, which is up here and this region, but they didn't have official control of it. And what Putin has always wanted, well, he's wanted two things really. He's wanted Crimea back for sure, because Khrushchev gave it away to Ukraine. Although he didn't really give it away to Ukraine. Ukraine was a state of the Soviet Union. You'll notice you've all heard of Chernobyl, right? Chernobyl is the one really even worse than 3 Mile Island, the worst nuclear power failure ever. 3 Mile Island, no casualties. This place, lots of casualties because of the way it was handled. You will notice that Chernobyl is in Ukraine. See it right there? Just inside Ukraine, which is going to become very important now because Ukraine gave up its nuclear weapons, which I think they now regret. But they did keep their nuclear reactors. And they got a couple of them, not just this one, and I won't show you where the others are, unless the map does. I'm not sure. I hope it doesn't. Well, in any event, so as soon as Trump was gone, and he had a cowardly president who had sold himself out to their ally, China, and had proven himself to be the most cowardly American president ever by leaving Americans behind and others in Afghanistan, one of whom was saved today by Trump, by the way. Putin invaded. And he took everything that he had, solidified it, and took 2% more. And he created himself what we call a land bridge from Russia to Crimea, right? Land bridge. Yeah. What he really wanted to do, people say, is take all of Ukraine. I'm not sure if he were that ambitious. I do know this is what he really wanted. That's what he really wanted. Now, what would that achieve that what he has doesn't achieve? It would give him a little more. Right now, with what he has 1/3 of the precious minerals that are so valuable. Ukraine has 2/3. If he does that, he goes about half and half. So the value goes up tremendously. He gets the second most profitable city in Ukraine, Kharkiv, which everything he's done, it has eluded him being able to capture it, which I'm very proud of because I work there. And then by going down here, and I would say here eventually, he cuts Ukraine off from the sea. So he hasn't been able to do that. He has done quite a bit of damage, however, right? He's taken 20% of the land. He's taken 1/3 of the mineral wealth, which is all up in this Donbass region, which you hear about a lot. But maybe you'd like to know where it is. It's up there, or even a little further down there. And The Ukrainians, rather than trying to get that back, did something very smart, I think. They went and took this area of Russia. I made it bigger so you can see it. Kursk is about the size of New Jersey, the part they took. They waited, didn't say yes to the deal right away, and now Putin may have taken it back. The reports are contradictory. There's no doubt he's taken a lot of it back. Question is he taken the city, the main city back? And we don't know that. And it has a little significance symbolically because it gives him something. It gives him this, right? To give Putin to get some of this back. Putin is not going to give up the bridge, but he is likely to give up maybe some of that, maybe some in here, as long as he has his nice little path to Crimea. I think that's a possibility, and that's what they'll be working on. Here's the tragedy, and here, pox on both their houses. The reality is that neither Zelensky or Putin have any regard for the lives of people. If Zelensky had regard for the lives of his people, he would have begun this quest a year and a half ago when it was impossible for Ukraine to do any better, right after he had captured Kursk. And if Putin had any regard for the lives of his people, he'd have done a straight-out ceasefire. What the hell is he going to accomplish by taking Kursk? So he gives up a little land, and he gives up a little land. He has 18% of Ukraine instead of 20%, and people are alive who are now dead. The only person that is concerned about it, and is concerned about it to the point of, I would say, obsession, and he should be, is President Donald J. Trump and Marco Rubio and the good, solid, wonderful people of our government. And for that, all the criticism of them should be stuffed up your face. They're the only ones caring about peace. And the guy you had there before, he got them all killed. If it wasn't for him, none of them would be dead. Trump has also added to his financial involvement with Ukraine a very, very smart proposal, and that is to co-own and co-run the nuclear reactors. Russia's not going to like that. Gee, maybe every other day you add something like this, Mr. President, and the tough murderer will back down. Now it becomes very, very hard for them to do anything with those nuclear reactors, doesn't it? Unless they want to deal with the United States. I'm going to tell you, all the bluffing aside, all the kidding aside, all the posturing aside, Russia doesn't want to deal with the United States. They had trouble dealing with Ukraine. Didn't they? Okay. Trump, again, as he promised, has now significantly added to the sanctions that are already crushing Iran, and he has reinstated all of the sanctions that would do everything that it can to prevent China from getting oil from Iran, which would cut out pretty much their last customer. They have these laundered purchases. They call them teapot refinery purchases. Seems like we've identified all of them pretty damn effectively. We've identified all of the purchases, and we now have put sanctions on, at least $500 million more worth of oil. That'll be stopped. So we're on our way to bankrupting Iran like we did when Trump left office. And now there isn't Biden around to give him $100 billion. So this could make a difference. These sanctions are on 19 different entities, and they ship millions of barrels of Iranian oil every day. They're part of the shadow fleet that's been operating under our watchful eye. Watchful eye. If you haven't figured out that Obama and Biden were working for the Ayatollah, who the hell gives cash to a drug to a well, they are drug dealers too, but who the hell gives cash to a country that supports terrorists? A person who supports terrorists. That's your former president, Prince Obama. I sent him cash until he got caught. It's like sending cash to bin Laden, isn't it? Tell me the difference. I want you to tell me the difference. I'll try to listen. You tell me the difference between bin Laden and the Ayatollah in terms of killing innocent people. The Ayatollahs kill more. That's the difference. How about killing Americans? Ayatollahs kill more. How about when Obama was sending that money in cash? Do we usually send? Do you think we send money in cash to Britain or Israel? Or we do it by wire? Why would like when we release the money that we have frozen, which we never should for Iran, that money should only be released when the country becomes free. But I mean, they've released hundreds of billions of it, the supporters of Iran, Obama and Biden. But they released that by wire. Why did he accede to the request to send the Ayatollah cash in the hundreds of millions? Who uses cash? Crooks, mafia, drug dealers. Oh, terrorists. Gee, Prince, you ever think you were giving money to terrorists? Oh, and at that period of time when you were giving that money, who were the terrorists killing off? Your soldiers. Oh, maybe I should say American soldiers, not your soldiers. You want to know why I think he belongs in jail? That's why I think he belongs in jail. What a mockery Prince Obama is. What a mockery. The guy made cash available to people who kill Americans. An Israeli once told me when I said about Obama, well, you just don't know what side he's on. He said, I know what side he's on. 100%. So do you. Well, a Chinese spy was sentenced to 2 years in prison for spying for China and pushing a dissident to return to the country to face the communist wrath. 2 years in prison. Were they kidding? Kwanzong An, a 58-year-old man from Roslyn, going to serve 20 months. He pushed a resident and his family to go back to China, where they would face an unknown fate. He owns a hotel in Flushing. He was involved in Operation Fox Hunt, an espionage effort to bring Chinese natives back to the Asian country. He pled guilty. I don't know why he got only 2 months. He had to pay a penalty of $5 million. $1.3 million went to the victim. And he has a net worth of $44 million. You understand this? They don't have the courage to identify the judge. And it was in the Eastern District of New York. And it's the new FBI. So I'm going to send this to Kash Patel and say, is it a new FBI yet? 2 years for pushing somebody back to China? We want to win this war with China? Meanwhile, China just executed 4 Canadians for dealing drugs. 4 Canadian nationals were executed in China for dealing drugs. I don't know how many. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's false. But that's what they do to drug dealers. We give them 2 years for spying on us. Actually, 20 months. and we let people sit in Congress who were banging Chinese spies, right? Like that pervert bum from California, the big liar. Or how about Dianne Feinstein, 19 years with a Chinese operative driving her, and she was on the intelligence committee. We don't do anything about it. Do we want to give ourselves away to China? Well, you know that some time ago, almost seems like 2 years ago, the New York City Council, which could really be charged as just an illegal enterprise because they follow no rules, no constitution, voted to allow non-citizens to vote. Now, I know when you first heard that, you had to slap yourself when you woke up in the morning, take a little more coffee and say, why? But you probably didn't know that not only is that totally absurd to allow non-citizens to vote, because then a country gets voted away. You don't have a country anymore, which is what they want. But the New York State Constitution, which governs New York, most people think, except the criminals in the city council, has requirements to vote. And one of those requirements is you're a citizen of the United States. And now all these yahoos are complaining that the Court of Appeals reversed it 6-1. I'd like to know how the one didn't. What, did she just amend the Constitution? I mean, it's like, it takes 2 years to figure out. The Constitution says you have to be a citizen to vote in New York State. They're going to allow you to vote. I don't know, that should be like a one-day hearing. You want to have non-citizens vote. Constitution says you have to be a citizen. Case dismissed. Okay. Or case granted, judgment granted. I got to find this one judge who voted against it. It's probably like the judges in the District of Columbia. You know, what they're like. Well, I mean, if we're on New York, let's go to the dumbest governor in America. I don't know. It's pretty hard. A lot of Democrats. I mean, that Pritzker guy, you can't tell if that Pritzker guy is dumb enough because you can't hear him. He's so fat. And then you have Whitlis. You have Whitlis who... Is that who you're saying is the dumbest governor? Isn't that Cackling Kamala?
That's Hochul.
Oh, well, yes. Oh, this is the dumbest.
That's a congestion pricing
oh, yeah, it is really smart.
Rally, I suppose. I don't know.
This is really smart. So she charges you $9 to drive into Lower Manhattan. Not $9 a day, every time you go back and forth. So if you got to make like, you have a wedding you're catering down there, and you got to bring, 5 loads of things down there at different times, it's going to be $9 a shot. And if you live out of town, you get bombed. If you have no other way to get to work but by car, you get bombed. Only place in the country that has it. This is all because she can't get the MTA to operate within its means. So it's going to make up for the losses that the subway entails. Now, the smarter way to do this is to figure out how to cut the losses of the subway, which would be pretty easy just by maybe cutting the staff by about half. Most of the city of New York could be cut in half without any problem. I'm going to give you a rough number. Come on. Just gonna write this out for a second. I'm gonna make you guess. So the first one says 118 million dollars for 22 million people. And the other says 120 million for 8 million people. The top one is the state of Florida, and the bottom one is the city of New York. So how is the city of New York spending more money on 3 times less people? Quality of the service. Really? New York's dirtier. We got more rats. How about this? So that's the New York budget, 120. You know what the budget of the state is? 250. What did I say the budget of Florida was? 118. Florida has 3 million more people than Hochul's New York. But New York has much better services than Florida, right? No, the schools are worse. The subways don't run on time, and they also kill you, which makes you not want to go on them. We do have credit cards from illegal migrants that you don't have in Florida, or we used to have. I don't have them anymore. I left there because of this. I'm going to tell you a real simple, we don't have the big long explanation. This happens because New York is thoroughly crooked. It's completely dishonest, and everything has built into it kickback money. So you buy, Hochul buys COVID tests. She spent $600 million. California buys the same Hochul tests for $300 million. That other $300 million shows up 2 weeks later in a campaign contribution to it by the company. That's my state, former state. That's what they do. Maybe every state does it. New York does it over and over and over and over again. I searched the internet the other night, and I find that it is alleged that Chuck Schumer is worth somewhere between $50 and $100 million. I know Chuck Schumer from the time he was a lowly state assemblyman or whatever the hell he was. Chuck Schumer never made 200 grand in his entire life. And he's complaining about Musk. However Musk made it, he sure did make it on government. Chuck, your father didn't leave it to you. Your wife didn't earn it. Your wife worked for me. I know how much you made. You made a lot of business deals, Chuck. You made a lot of business deals. And you really want people to believe that. It's disgraceful. This is why our country is in the shape that it's in. We're represented by a large number of crooks, dishonest people. They have no concern for you. All they care about is the money they get, the preferment they get, how important they are. They're sick narcissists. And that's why they fought Trump so hard, because he was the only one that really threatened to break it up. And he is breaking it up. He is breaking it up. I thought, well, I shouldn't say this. I said this too many times. I was going to say I thought I saw everything. Now they're attacking Tesla automobiles, Tesla customers, Tesla this, Tesla that, because Elon Musk wants to help the president cut waste, fraud, and abuse. I mean, you got to be some kind of a real jerk off to think he's doing it to make money. There wouldn't be enough money to make. If we ever paid him, we'd have no government left. He may be worth more than the government. He's certainly more liquid. I mean, we usually used to take the view that, we can trust this guy. He's so rich, he's not going to steal. I don't know. I think the richest guy in the world doesn't have to steal. I think maybe the richest guy in the world wants a sense of fulfillment, of doing something. You could see that in his very, very brave and wonderful attempts to save free speech. But what the heck is he doing wrong? Look at that. And they talk about, you ever see the Proud Boys do anything like that? Or what's that other, the Oath Keepers? You ever see that on January 6th in the Capitol? No, you saw that all over America from the left wing, didn't you? These are the animals that they use. And you tell me some of this group isn't supported by the same people. I mean, Soros was the biggest contributor in 2020 to all the riots and the numerous fires and deaths that took place. He was the biggest contributor to the DAs that let them all go free. He was the biggest contributor to Kamala Harris, who got him out of jail. And he was the biggest contributor to Biden, who let him operate for the next 4 years. So this is all by accident? Or is this an attempt to take our country down? It's an attempt to take our country down. And the reason they're going after Musk is because Musk is a very powerful ally for the president. That's the same thing they did to me, the same thing they did to Navarro, the same thing they did to my friend Steve Bannon, the same thing they attempted to do to George Papadopoulos, the same thing they attempted to do to his two sons, the same thing they attempted to do to him. They want to bring down anybody around him. And they can sometimes succeed, but when they can't, they can deter others from being around him. And it is a despicable thing that because the media lets them get away with it, is very, very hard to deal with, because they make it almost seem like it's normal to do that. Well, I don't think with this attorney general it's going to be normal. She's already arrested people. She says they're going to be charged as terrorists, and they are terrorists. The definition of terrorist is to engage in a violent act for the purpose of moving a political issue. That's terrorism. They're terrorists. Whoever does this should go to jail for the rest of their life. You catch somebody burning a Tesla automobile, that should be the last time they see sunlight. And if they kill somebody, they should be executed. Stop it quick. So 3 people have now been accused by Attorney General Bondi. They're facing 20 years in prison for domestic terrorism. One is in Oregon. That one will have a defense of overwhelmed by cannabis because it's pervasive in the air. Adam Matthew Lansky. He's allegedly carried a suppressed AR-15 rifle while lobbing 8 Molotov cocktails at a Salem Tesla dealership. And then he returned before they would catch him again, and he shot out the dealership windows and fired bullets into the car. I don't see why this guy gets only 20 years, but okay. Then we have another guy, Lucy Grace Nelson. Now, I don't know if this is a girl or a boy or one of those, who the hell knows what. This is in Colorado, another state where it would be hard to have too many brain cells left by smelling the air. Lucy Grace Nelson is 40. Such a person, I can't use a pronoun here because I don't know which one to use. I only have 2, types, male and female. Should I do it? Lucy Grace Nelson is charged with malicious destruction of property after he attempted to light a Tesla car on fire inside the dealership. And then he spray painted Nazi cars across a number of the vehicles before they caught him. See, I bet the writer doesn't know either, because I'm trying to look for like a pronoun for Lucy. Hey, Luce. In Colorado, Lucy Grace Nelson is charged with malicious destruction of property after allegedly trying to light Tesla cars on fire at a dealership in Loveland, 45 miles north of Denver. Investigators say Nelson was also spray painted Nazi cars across the vehicles. Well, they better figure out before they figure out which one they put him in. In South Carolina, Daniel Clark Pounder, 24, is accused of vandalizing Tesla's charging stations in Charleston and torching them. So those are the three that have been arrested. It's going on all over America. You saw pictures of it. This is disgraceful. It should stop. Lucky we have Trump as a president. I think it'll stop quick. And what they're doing to Muz proves how insidious and how deep this conspiracy against a lawful America is. I think I've seen, I don't know if you've ever read Dante's Inferno, but when he gets to the very depths of hell, of the Inferno, he has a very hard time seeing all the way down. It's like still obscure. There's fire and it's still obscure. I don't know if we'll ever see all the way down, but we are in hell. We're looking at hell. Germany, who just had a new election with a guy whose name I screw up. I think it's Miski Poo, something like that. He's the one where he runs the middle of the road right party, which is the old Christian Democratic Party, which is made up of right wingers and what we would consider aggressive rhinos. They got 29% of the vote. The very right-wing party, who we consider the MAGA people, got 21% of the vote. So now you got 49, 50% of the vote right-wing. The left-wing party got 16% of the vote. So now you put together a government. Who do you put together a government with? Well, you cut out the right-wing party and you do it with the socialist communists and the MERS, so that Germany can really go to hell, which it's doing. It's declining even more as it becomes, there used to be a split between Catholic and Protestant. Pretty soon it'll be an entirely Muslim country and it'll be governed by Sharia law. And this guy is worthless and he'll be gone soon. The new chancellor is completely worthless. Completely. Now he's decided that the right-wing party is a Nazi party. See, every right-wing party in Europe is a Nazi party. All the Italian parties of Meloni and even Berlusconi were Nazi parties. The party in Republika Srpska that when Ted and I met with Mr. Dodik, he was accused of being a neo-Nazi, except his friends and family were killed by the Nazis, which makes it a little hard. And he's a big supporter of Israel. I don't know. So suppose he was a Nazi and he converted. And now he's guilty and he's a big supporter of Israel. I'd rather take him than somebody who wants to kill Jews. Huh? But he's not. This is these left-wing, useless, lazy bums who run Europe use that the way the Democrat Party uses racism. I was in 1994, I was called Hitler. And then when that didn't work, they called me Mussolini because I'm Italian. And when that didn't work, they stopped calling me names because I just did what I wanted to do. And the more they did it, the more I knew I was getting through to them. And that's how I changed the city more than any mayor in history. You want to look at the statistics and dispute me? You can. I only say that because I'm not bragging. I say it because it's the truth, and nobody else will tell you that. They keep writing that Bratton invented Comstat, and Bratton invented all of the programs that I did. It's true, Bratton helped a lot. But long before Bratton, I knew exactly what I was going to do. I ran the Attorney General's task force on violent crime a decade before I was mayor and wrote about all these things and how to use them. Bratton knew about some of them, and that's why I hired him. But the broken windows theory, somebody just wrote in the Post that Bratton did the broken windows theory predates. Bratton may have still been in high school. It was done by James Q. Wilson. I learned it from him. I watched it in 2 other cities, and then I used it in New York. But you see, they love, because Bratton is a Democrat and because he leaks, they would try to make him the hero, and they try to make me the villain. But then when Bratton left and crime went down even more, and then when Bernie Kerik came in and crime went down even more, gee, what's the common denominator? Well, in any event, they don't know. I think our only hope in Europe is definitely Giorgia Meloni. And I don't know. I think she looks. I mean, she's a beautiful woman. There's no question about it. But the poor thing looks like, oh, man, I got a picture up there. Well, we're going to use that picture in a minute. Yeah. We'll skip the picture of Giorgia. Giorgia Meloni looks like she has the weight of the world on her shoulders. She likes Trump. She likes Trump's ideas. She's for small government. She's for government closest to the people. She is an avowed anti-communist, big time, pro-religion, all the things that make you a racist in America and a Nazi in Europe. And she's trying to hold Europe together. I say, let's start a new NATO. You don't want to pay? You don't want to fight? Please, you have to fight also, because France very often doesn't fight when they commit troops. Pay, fight, and if you don't want to, Germany, go ahead, build an army. Good luck. Halfwood in England announced, I'm going to send British troops as peacekeepers. And the press said, what troops? You don't have any. You basically zeroed them out. Oh. Oh. Well, everyone will have free medical insurance. There's, Mr. Prime Minister, there's nobody left to have free medical insurance. All the people who have free medical insurance have died on a waiting list. Oh. But they did have insurance. Yeah, they had insurance. They went in with a big tumor, and they were given an appointment in 2045. Oh, well, at least they were given an appointment. Yeah. Right? Right. Okay. Well, that's Canada. That's England. That's with these, I don't know what they are. I mean, I don't know what they are. But Italy is our one hope, Hungary. Then we go east, and now we got a lot of hope. Poland, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Slovenia, Serbia, Republika Srpska. How about we stick them right in Serbia and get them away from the Muslim government that contributed 2 people to September 11 to kill us? Why we're doing favors for them? Marco, will you please take a look at that, because your comms person put out a very favorable text about removing the president of Republika Srpska, which is an American ally, in favor of Bosnia-Herzegovina, which is a stronghold for Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and is particularly sensitive to me because two of the assassins who came here to kill our citizens came from there. And they also cheered the day that it happened. And they also cheered when October 7 happened, and hate the Jewish people, would like the Jewish people destroyed. And the country that you're penalizing is a big ally of Israel, with letters from Bibi thanking them for their support in a difficult environment. Can we get on the right side there? I know we're just in office, and I'm not being overly critical. People could miss this, particularly if I think the person who put it out was a Fox reporter, former Fox reporter. Now, they're not used to reading. No, they read. I don't mean by reading. I don't mean they're used to reading. They read everything. They're not used to reading. Like, oh, wait now. We're taking the side of Bosnia-Herzegovina, and they contributed 2 people to September. Wow. And they had a big celebration on October. They can't be our friends. And they're trying to remove the president of a Christian country. Muslim, Christian. Muslim, a couple of people went and killed Americans on September. Whole country celebrated the mass killing of Jews and is in favor of the elimination of the Jewish state. Oh, the other country, the guy has 2 commendations from Bibi Netanyahu for supporting Israel in difficult times. Has a history with a family and relatives who were killed by Nazis, but they call him a Nazi. Actually, he's probably one of the most liked politicians, even by the Muslims. But now they've turned on him because he's listed some of the illegal practices of their government. See, you could have found that out. You could have found that out in about 15 minutes of research if you didn't listen to the anti-American communists that inhabit the State Department. And since you haven't done what they're doing in the Justice Department and kicked them out, I would suggest the following. When the State Department staff advises you, don't believe it. Otherwise, we'll be right back where we were. That's what happened to Pompeo. Pompeo, except on the 2 or 3 things he was interested in, was too afraid to take it on. That's why he's not Secretary of State, and you are. So you're doing a good job, but the small things count too. And let's get on the right side. Also, would you mind taking a look at all the Christians that are getting killed in Syria? And Germany just recognized Syria. They are slaughtering Christians in Syria. The terrorist government that took over in place of Assad. And I'm glad they got rid of Assad. But I'm not glad that they put in a Sunni terrorist group that now is wiping out Assad's supporters, the Alawites. But also, since they live in and among the Christians, they're doing their job of wiping out Christians, which is, after all, if they are very strict Muslims, part of what Muhammad told them to do. Don't ever go for the bullshit that isn't in the Quran. So if you have to, you could try reading that too. But get on the right side, huh? Before it's too late, and we don't have a lot of time. Okay. Highest price for a team. Highest price for a team.
Ever.
American sports. Not a lot. The Boston Celtics were sold for $6.1 billion. And I think I have a list here, see if I can find it.
That's right, Mayor.
There it is. There. The Celtics, $6.1 billion.
We got that up.
The Washington Commanders, $6 billion. Boy, they were overpriced.
That just happened a couple years ago.
Yeah, imagine a team named after a prophylactic product, the Commanders. Give me 3 Commanders, please. The Chelsea football team. The Broncos.
Bring this up here, and then I'll join the conversation. Yeah, can you? Yes, we're on, Mayor. So what you have there are the highest paid. The most teams have gone for in American professional sports. With the Boston Celtics edging the Washington Commanders by actually half of $100
million.
It was actually 6.05 billion.
Oh,
So that would be $6 billion and $50 million as opposed to the Celtics.
So I guess none of the big
$6 billion.
sports, the big money sports would be football and baseball, right?
No, I would say traditionally the big 4 being football 1, baseball, basketball, and hockey. I would say
Yeah, but the drop off between baseball and basketball is quite a bit.
Is it?
Oh,
I'd
sure.
be
Well,
interested in
because
looking at that in recent years with
Well,
TV
I
deals.
first thought that was the Boston Red Sox, and I said that can't be. I mean, first of all, with the Yankees comes the Yes Network,
Right. And you're seeing that now.
and the ballpark.
That's
The
right.
ballpark itself is they own the ballpark now. The ballpark itself is worth $3 billion.
That's right. But if you
The Yes Network, their share of it is probably worth $100 billion.
That's right. And baseball is currently renegotiating some TV deals. And ESPN actually just recently dropped MLB. And as you mentioned, a lot of the baseball TV
Well, that's what
contracts
they
for the
did.
past
That's
30
what
years have
happened
been.
with George Steinbrenner, and he started it. He started the local, the network that I used to represent after I left, dropped George Steinbrenner, and they wouldn't pay him, so he started his own network. Now the network is worth more than the local stations.
That's
They
right.
used to put him on,
That's right.
and he also made a lot of other people rich because the Red Sox did the same thing. The Dodgers did the same thing. A lot of the ball teams now have their own network.
That's right. That's right. And
More valuable than the ball team. More valuable than the ball team.
well, of course, the difference between football and baseball, football contracts, the NFL contracts with the
NFL
big
has
broadcast networks.
NFL has much more control over the teams than the MLB does.
Yeah, through revenue sharing.
Well,
And
the NFL is much more of a dictatorship.
yeah, you could say more in some ways more communist in its approach.
Yeah, and also anti-American.
Yeah.
Much more anti-American.
Through revenue sharing that, but it also in a way
And
they would
it
argue
also
creates-
has the biggest
creates
sissy
parity.
anti-American in the history of sports running it. Roger Boudwell. Roger Boudwell.
Yeah. Well, what does that mean when they put the words "end racism" in the end zone? As if anyone they put in big letters "end racism." It's like what?
He's
As if anyone's like on the other side of that.
Why the hell any football player wants to play for him? I have no idea. He's total antithesis of a football.
Well, and I think they sometimes speak out.
What?
The owners love him because
The owners he does
money.
anything they want.
Yeah, and he's made them a good deal of money.
He has made them a fortune, and
Well, you could argue the players have made the money, on the field.
players have made a lot of money too. They've all made money, but
they won't.
anytime they can, they poke at the United States. They're totally. I mean, the only place they'd make this money is here.
Right.
So, and then the worst. I shouldn't really have to go after Goodell. The worst is the NBA. They should actually be considered a subsidiary of the Chinese Communist Party.
Right. That's right.
And barred from playing in the United States. They don't really play basketball anyway. They just bang each other around and step on each other. And I mean, it isn't even basketball. It's much better watching the college players play than watching them play. I got tired of watching them play.
Who's that?
The NBA. I mean,
and a lot of people have their ratings are down big. Too many 3-point shots.
Well, I think it's down
enough.
big too because the sense is, particularly when every time someone comes up with China, they defend China.
They defend China and hate on Trump. They love to lecture us on anti-Trump. That coach for the Spurs. He's a big anti-Trump guy. Popovich. He thinks.
Oh, right. He's written several really, really good books on political science, right? I mean,
yeah.
He's a real expert on expert on foreign policy.
I would say he's an expert on basketball, and as of now, that's the only thing I've heard him. I've seen. The only thing he's demonstrated any knowledge on is the sport of basketball. He has won a lot of games.
He has won a lot of games,
and he feels that qualifies him to tell us how to vote.
Who does he coach?
San Antonio Spurs, who, from a sports perspective, throughout his time as coach, regularly have played well and won a number of championships through different, I guess you could say, I wouldn't say eras, but different time periods. Every 4 or 5 years, he would win one.
That's really good. Yeah. I'm really excited.
You're real impressed, right, Mayor?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I used to be a very, very big Knick fan in the era of Walt Frazier and Dave DeBusschere, and
they were a very good team.
Oh God, Willis Reed. I think 4 are in the Hall of Fame. Certainly Reed, Frazier, DeBusschere, and Bradley are in the Hall of Fame. And
Earl, we're going back to the what, 60s?
Earl the Pearl Monroe, who played in the second group of those teams, because he used to be their adversary with the Baltimore team. The Knicks and Baltimore would always be the two final teams in the East,
Right.
playing off to usually play the Lakers.
Right.
And the Knicks won like 3 of 4 of those. Baltimore won it once too. They had Wes Unseld, who would go up against Willis Reed, and they had Earl the Pearl, who would go up against Frazier. And Frazier was the best defensive player in the league by far, and Monroe was the most prolific shooter up to that point in basketball.
In basketball.
And he was a weird shooter. He could shoot from any position, from any place. He could sit on the ground and shoot.
Right.
I mean, he'd go in between you and go like that and put it in.
Well,
and then he got traded to the Knicks. So how about this? And they were considered enemies, but they really weren't. I mean, they were enemies in the sense that the games between them always came down to the last minute or overtime. And the two of them would have to face off against each other, one guarding the other. And Frazier won his fair share of them, although Monroe won his. And for some reason, the Knicks made a trade. And the Knicks fans and the sports writers said, how can these two guys be on the same team? First of all, they've been enemies for 7 or 8 years. Second, their style of basketball is totally different. Frazier plays a very disciplined team game, a very disciplined defensive game. Frazier was like a backcourt man, like Russell on the Celtics was a center. He'd never shoot unless he had to. So here's what happened. In the first championships the Knicks won in the 6th game, their center, who really was the reason they were able to beat Los Angeles, Willis Reed, who defended Chamberlain, and Willis Reed was the only guy strong enough to defend Chamberlain because he was as strong as Chamberlain, if not stronger. Smaller, but unbelievably powerful. In the 6th game, he got injured. Couldn't walk. So now we come down to the 7th game, Madison Square Garden. The Knicks center is gone. Dave DeBusschere has to move to center or somebody else, Nate Stallworth or someone, which would have been okay normally during the season. But if you're playing Chamberlain, you had to have the big guy because he was the only guy who could neutralize. And Frazier was the defensive guy. Well, the long and short of it is Reed comes out, goes in and plays. The Garden goes nuts seeing him come in limping, scores 2 baskets limping, sits down, and Walt Frazier proceeds to score 41 points against Jerry West. I don't think he'd ever scored 41 points in his life. But all of a sudden, he showed you what a great offensive player he could be if he had to take over for the boss. A lot of those players. Then they had Cassie Russell, who was an unbelievable shooter. Dick Barnett. Used to love that team.
right.
And then I went all the way through the 90s era with the Knicks. And then they started to get stupid, crazy trades. And so now what's going on in basketball?
Well, that's right, Mayor. Now that you bring that up, let's bring up our brackets.
We're on a second night of...
On the second night, you have correctly chosen 18 of the 24 games thus far. We'll bring up.
Wait. You mean I've picked 18 right?
That's right.
But I can't win if I pick any wrong, right? I mean, you don't win.
Here's your board.
Or do you win if you are the closest?
Well, here's your.
Does anybody ever pick them all right?
I don't know if it's ever happened yet. I think the odds are very 1 in many billions of doing that. But here we have yours. This is Mayor Giuliani's bracket up on the screen. He's got St. John's going all the way. But as of now, as of about,
That's a bit of
I would say as of an hour ago.
of a hometown pick. But
I would say as of about an hour ago. Can you make that full screen? As of about an hour ago, Mayor, you are 18 for 24 with 8 games left.
when is St. John's playing?
They won and they play. They'll play again
Saturday?
on Saturday.
Who are they playing?
And they will play on Saturday, Arkansas.
Arkansas won already?
Arkansas, who I believe is now coached by John Calipari. John Calipari, of course, coached at Kentucky, and is considered one of the great coaches. And then Rick Pitino. So that'll be quite the matchup.
I'm sure Calipari and Patino have faced each other a lot.
That's right. I
In the
believe they did and I believe they
Well, but
faced off in the famous
Pitino
final
coached,
in 2007.
Patino coached Kentucky to a championship.
That's right. They both have, I believe.
That's amazing.
So
So
he's
he's
Saturday. So that game will be
well.
Saturday.
I mean, I don't know if they put coaches in the Hall of Fame before they retire, but those are two Hall of Fame coaches.
Oh, big time. Big time.
And what Patino's done with St. John's is unbelievable. I mean, St. John's has a good basketball history.
Right.
Of the New York schools. I mean, back in the 40s and 50s, the New York schools were great.
Before gambling.
Before the scandal, the great scandal. And then they all fell apart. I mean, a few hung on. So when I was in college, Manhattan College got into the Final Four twice. Since I've been out of college, probably 4 times. But they never get past 2 or 3. So we're going to take a short break, and we will be back very quickly.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans. No Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's Coffee.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast.
These deals are
U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers.
To celebrate the new year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely.
This is Rudy Giuliani, and we're back. And before I get to you, I have to tell him this so I don't forget. Remember, I told you a couple of nights ago that there's a terrible virus in China, and that there are all kinds of reports of crematoriums being filled up. Which, by the way, I think the proper Latin is crematoria, but that's all right. Well, how would the Chinese know the proper Latin? And also, there are funeral homes that are a month, 2 months behind. The latest report are increased deaths amid continuing. This is from the Epoch Times, which if you ever want to know what's going on in China, get the Epoch Times. They know what's going on in China. Amid continuing distrust of the Chinese regime's data on infectious diseases and vaccination deaths, anecdotal reports from residents and healthcare professionals across China suggest an unusual number of deaths among millennials this winter season. Beijing's National Bureau of Statistics does not regularly publish data. Well, we'll get you the details over the weekend when we get a chance to make some calls. But apparently, can't confirm it, but all of the signs are, including some satellite observations of very large crowds around burial places, that a lot of people are dying in China. Maybe they're just killing their people.
Scary stuff.
Well, introduce yourself.
I'm Leo Fusegis, an attorney in the Boston area. I've been up since 3 o'clock in the morning, making my way over to West Palm. So if there's
from where?
I'm in Massachusetts. So originally from Rhode Island,
Mm-hmm.
born and raised. Bryant Bulldogs are playing tonight. My alma mater.
Who are they playing?
Oh, the accent came out.
Who are they playing?
I don't know if I have an accent.
It came
Who are
out.
they playing?
They are playing. They are playing Tom Izzo and the Michigan State Spartans.
Go green, go green!
And these two guys here are Michigan State fans.
I did not know that. I just found
Yeah.
that out 5 minutes
Yeah,
ago.
yeah,
When we were talking about the bracket, they didn't say anything.
No,
but
I'm in basketball. Of course, I root for my college, Manhattan College. But in football, I'm a Notre Dame fan. So,
there you go.
but I am, of course, a Yankee fan.
Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
And I have to tell you, I've been sitting here for about a half hour listening to you. Your retention is unbelievable. I don't know how you do it. You have retained information, and you are.
Oh,
It's incredible.
go get the Rudy's coffee.
Is that the reason why?
I like it when we show the whiteboard. Show me your work.
Oh, my board?
Yeah.
Oh, where's my board?
Yeah, find it.
Someone stole my board to see if I can remember it. This is part of the since it happened to Biden,
But we turn it into this.
they're all worried that I'm gonna, my cognitive. So they do.
Okay.
Yeah, take a sniff.
So my retention is gonna
Oh,
multiply.
Watch this. You're gonna become like a dynamo. We're gonna be
That's good stuff.
Right.
Even more of a
Can't even-
dynamo.
We can't even contain you now.
Right.
I'm gonna have an all-nighter
Remember
now.
what I told you on the other show? Every morning, before I drink it.
Where's this whiteboard?
How many cups a day?
I actually do about 2 or 3. I do. I usually do.
Cream and sugar, or you just take it black?
Oh, since I started making my own coffee, because these are coffee beans, which led me to this. Since I started making my own coffee about 6 years ago, I have not once used sugar substitute, or cream, because the taste is so much better, particularly when you have Arabica, beans. Those are the much better beans. They're not. They don't have that acidic taste.
Have you ever had Turkish coffee or Greek coffee?
Yeah, I've had all of it.
That's like rocket fuel.
But again, they have 2 levels of beans also. So you've got to get the the beans that are grown higher up on the mountain
That's the
and
secret.
are cured better.
That's the secret.
That's the secret.
And that will make
That will take a
You
Greek
have
coffee.
retention.
That'll make a that'll take a Greek coffee and make it superb, or it'll be a Greek coffee like you have in the diner. In most diners in America, you're having Robusto, which is a very cheap bean, and it's the reason why sometimes you get a sour stomach when you smoke. When you smoke, yeah, well, also when you smoke a cigar, but I'm willing to take it. But it's the Arabica bean that's the key. And you'll look at so this says all Arabica, but you look at a coffee brand like Oro, which is Lavazza makes Oro. Lavazza is one of the big.
it is. It's very good.
All Arabica. Now you get the all Arabica one and get the other one, and you'll see a very big difference.
It is very good.
Yeah. So tell us what you specialize in and what you'd like to talk about.
So I specialize
We
in.
should question you about.
Say it again.
What should we question you about?
Everything and anything about life. About
I
what
mean,
makes the world go around.
He's a Boston sports fan,
I am.
Mayor. So I mean, that's a good place for a
Yeah, but
New Yorker
I haven't paid sufficient attention, and I feel bad to.
Well, you know what I want to get your opinion on?
Spring training, except that I know that the Yankees have a lot of injuries.
They do, but I want to get your opinion on
A
something.
number one pitcher,
Yep.
Garrett Cole. I mean,
Tommy John. So I want your opinion on the new beard rule change. I don't know if you've spoken out about this, but as a traditionalist, I feel like you should be a little offended.
I'm against it.
I thought so.
I kind of like the idea. See,
if I played for the Yankees, I think I should shave. I should be
yeah, well,
clean
I
shaved.
mean, I don't care in other circumstances, but it was like a tradition for the Yankees. I hate giving up traditions. The Yankees, the Red Sox, the Dodgers have been pretty good about maintaining their uniforms. The Dodgers have now the Dodgers have changed a little, and the Red Sox have changed a little.
They have, it's obviously for money, but there's now a kind of like a Subway jersey that
Yes.
the Red Sox have been wearing. It's marathon colors, which is a nice touch, but it is bright yellow with blue.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, the Yankees stuck for the longest time. Pinstripes, white, gray.
It's like you're wearing a business suit on the
Same
field.
uniform.
Yeah.
Same uniform that Joe DiMaggio wore, Babe
Yeah.
Ruth wore. Blah, blah, blah. Now they still basically have the same uniform. They only have two. They don't have like 3 or 4 like the Mets have. The Mets have about 4 or 5 uniforms, but they do go into when the Major League Baseball requires it. They have to wear the whatever stupid thing, the old uniform, or
Yeah.
I mean, they do that 3 or 4 times a year so
Yep.
they can sell it, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Same thing in the NBA. So yeah, when I was listening to you talking about the Yankees, it sparked in my head. I'm like, there's no chance he likes this new rule about the beards.
No,
Zero.
I got all upset when the Yankees paid tribute to Black Lives Matter. I went nuts. I said my friend George would be turned over in his grave if he knew that. George Steinbrenner was born on the 4th of July.
Were you guys very close?
Yeah, we were good friends, and so was Trump. Trump is a very good friend of his, and he was a very, very patriotic guy. And for all of his stuff around him, he was a very charitable and a very good man. But boy, was he patriotic. So he invented the 7th inning God Bless America.
Really?
And he did it on September. He did it the first game they were back after September 11th.
You threw out the first pitch one, right?
Oh, many
after?
times.
Yeah.
So he got the idea that they should, instead of just doing take me out to the ball game, they should do God Bless America. And now it's done all of the baseball in the 7th inning.
And we also do Sweet Caroline
It's 8th inning.
right after. Yes, correct.
Eighth inning.
Yeah.
Your 7th inning, you do God Bless America, and then you do Sweet Caroline. You have that. Is that for Caroline Kennedy?
I don't know. I believe it was, but also the Yankees are changing something too. Now, if they lose, they're not playing New York after the ball game.
Play nothing?
I think they're going to be playing something random, but only if they win, they're playing New York. Another change.
Yeah. One or two times they had someone other than Frank Sinatra sing it, and they got like tremendous.
Well, when you,
Liza Minnelli. Well, the song was not originally a Frank Sinatra song.
I didn't know that.
It comes from a movie with Liza Minnelli, and she is the original person to sing it, who was a good friend of his, Liza Minnelli, and he had the same agent. And so she gave him the song to sing, and then it just became so much more famous by him. And the Yankees played it so often that one time they decided they'd try somebody else. And
They were
the
pissed.
fans started booing, going crazy. Then they had to get rid of Kate Smith. She originally would do God Bless America because she had some kind of an anti-Semitic episode 2,000 years ago. So they had to get rid of her. So now God Bless America is done by a whole group of different people. And very often it's done live. They'll bring down a veteran
Which is fantastic. Yeah.
And you see, baseball, I think, has always been the most patriotic sport. The one that has always, even though football is now more popular, baseball is always thought of as the American sport.
I think so. Absolutely. Even from someone who's first generation Greek and growing up in this country, I actually have a very funny story. My dad, who knew nothing about sports when he first came here, I was trying out for Little League. He got me, he's like, you're right-handed, right? So he got me a right-handed glove. So I show up, for tryouts Little League. And literally I'm going, I'm literally going, and catching with my right. And the coach is coming over. He's like, son, do you have the right glove? You're a right-hander, right? I'm like, yeah. So embarrassed. Dad, God bless you if you're listening, but you embarrassed me at 11, 10, whatever I was, 9 years old. I'll never forget that.
Too bad you didn't learn how to throw that way. You could have thrown both ways.
And this is the...
Okay, here's a question. Since we're going to do a little sports.
Sure.
And we have a so-called, sports expert.
Is he?
He says
Is he a
so.
whiz?
He says so. Ted, we know there are switch hitters, right? Right. There have been a fair number of switch hitters, not that unusual. Hit right, hit left. We know there are guys that throw right and bat left. Right. Yogi Berra was one, by the way, just to think about it, a great one. Do we know anybody that threw left and batted right?
Threw left, batted right.
I can't think of anyone. I'm sure there was.
Couldn't Ohtani? I think Ohtani might be able
both?
to. He might be able to. I believe so.
That's what I was getting to. Is there anybody that can throw both ways?
I believe Ohtani
Anybody that can throw left and right? I think so. No, I think there is. I think the Yankees in the minor leagues had a pitcher that could throw left and right.
You would know before me.
I think. Did they ever have a pitcher that could throw left and right?
Yes.
And did he make it to the major leagues? I don't think this guy made it to the major leagues.
That's right.
And then what would the rules be? Well, in other words, the bat is up. I'm throwing left.
Right.
Can I, in the middle, switch it to my right hand and throw right? I don't think that would be fair.
Right.
You'd have to make a choice which way you're going to throw to that batter. That would still give you an advantage.
But I think before the game, that has to be declared before
the game, you have to say I'm throwing right or I'm throwing left.
I would think so.
I don't necessarily think you can
Find
switch it
out
up.
for me if there ever has been one.
Okay.
See, you didn't know
That'd be
that.
good trivia.
I have a vague recollection that there have been a couple of guys that can throw left and right, but I don't know if I'm sure there have been guys who throw left and right, but I don't know if there's ever been one that has made it to the major leagues.
Let's see.
And if
our
the major
sports
league,
whiz.
if the major leagues has a rule on it.
It's a good question. So I also have something for you.
Yeah.
It's kind of a big deal.
I see a baseball there.
So as a thank you, obviously, for having me tonight and coming all the way from Boston. So my background is with my practice, I have we do real estate, we do business, we do contracts, and we do some sports stuff. And one of my clients who became family was Louis Tion, who just passed in October.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Great pitcher.
Unbelievable pitcher, man. And he actually spoke to me about you.
Yeah.
Even though he was a Democrat. and I don't think he knew any better. But
was Louis Dominican or Mexican?
Cuban.
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 He was a Democrat.
Yes.
Wow, you couldn't be the only one.
Cuban. remarkable story. And he would always say to me that his dad actually was a better player than he was, but he never had the opportunity to play in the majors.
Good.
Former Yankee.
And Red Sox, right?
Yeah, oh, of course. Yeah, he's in the Red Sox
They-
Hall of Fame. There's a huge argument that he should be in the Baseball Hall of Fame, but he is not yet.
Did he pitch for the Indians too?
He did. Yep. Indians, Pirates.
Oh, I didn't know the Pirates. I wouldn't have thought the Pirates.
He did. He did towards the end of his career.
He was a great pitcher to watch. He was a sneaky pitcher.
But honestly, even better, man. He would light up the room. He would always be giggling. Big cigar aficionado like yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
He had his own cigar line for a long time. Maybe, you guys could have caused dynamite between the coffee and the cigars. Forget it.
Yeah,
Do you dip the cigars in your coffee?
of course. And
There you go.
also in Scotch.
So, just as a thank you for having me on and spending some time with me this weekend, so Louis had given me 2 baseballs before he passed. This is signed by.
I'm trying to take it.
There you are. It's all yours. It's for you. This is signed by all living pitchers who had gave up a home run to Mickey Mantle.
Wow.
So as a big Yankee fan, my mother-in-law who's watching is a Yankee fan. My wife is a Yankee fan. They're from Bayside, New York. And we of course butt heads with all the Boston, New York sports. So this is a very special baseball that's now yours. I can tell you like it.
I replaced Mickey Mantle in his last game on 9/28/68, Andy Costco. How do you like that? That's pretty good. Ooh. I gave up Mantle's 500th home run on May 14th, 1967.
There it is. This is the home run right here.
You guys are good.
The 500th home run right here.
For Michigan State guys, pretty good.
I don't blame you. You're right about that.
Well, my name is Leonidas, so as Spartans, you should be proud.
Whoa. Okay, not a cheap one. Not a cheap one. The Mick hardly could walk then. So how about his 536?
Let's see how quick they can pull up YouTube.
I gave up a handful of home runs. The last home run was on the 536, 520/68.
526.
He was the last pitcher to face Mantle on
536.
520/68. And then on 528/68, he was the last pitcher to face Mickey Mantle.
So tell us what's on that ball again, Leo.
What?
No, tell us again. Describe the ball for our audience. What is
So the ball is pitchers who have given up home runs to Mickey Mantle. And at the time that Louis had given it to me, it was living pitchers at the time.
Of course, yeah. Jim. I can't make this out. Jim. We'll find out when you get out. Some of the names are hard to read here.
But I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, when you're thinking about all things America, baseball is definitely one of the top things on the list. I mean, America
Here's
and
the
their
guy who
sports.
gave up the longest home run to Mickey Mantle.
Oh, really?
Hmm?
How long did it say?
It doesn't say. But it was in 60, way back in 60.
It's pretty incredible.
Barney Schultz. I gave up Mantle 16th World Series home run, 10/10/64.
There's the ball right there. If you guys get a good look at that, that ball has been signed by all living. Unfortunately,
At the
we
time.
lost your friend and client,
Louis, yeah.
Louis, an outstanding player,
I wonder how
Outstanding.
Louis got it. Did he tell you?
He
signed by
didn't,
all
no.
pitchers who have given up a home run to the one and only Mickey Mantle. That's the baseball right there. We'll get a close up. There it is. Wow.
Now, when are they saying the longest home run was hit?
Well, he may be wrong. I mean, he may be wrong. Some of these guys don't. Let me find it here.
Because it is debated online, but many argue that it was hit at
In Washington.
yeah, and then now where the stadium once stood now stands a hospital, and they have the home plate marked out in the hospital.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, we'll just quickly show that. That's the hospital where they have the home plate marked where
Oh,
the
is it?
longest home run was set.
Wow. I didn't know that. I go to Yankee Stadium all the time.
Well, no, that's at a hospital. It's the old.
What is that? Is that Yankee Stadium?
No, that would have
Oh,
been-
that's the one he hit him
In DC.
in DC,
In
or-
DC.
yeah, home of the Washington Senators, Griffith Stadium.
Of course, of course.
Oh, now it's in Howard. Oh, I lived right near there.
You know, he hit a big one in Detroit too.
That's right.
At Tiger Stadium?
He hit one out.
Well, it would have been
Not too many balls were hit because of that thing there. They get caught up in the thing there. He
what
went
year was that?
over and out.
Tiger-
You know what he
before
never
Tiger
did?
Stadium.
He never hit one out of Yankee Stadium, nor did anybody else in the history of baseball.
Do you miss the old Yankee Stadium?
No one's ever hit a ball out of Yankee Stadium live. In one of those all-star game home run contests, they thought that McGuire hit a couple out, but they actually were up in the. They found them. They were up in the lights. They hit the lights and came down. But nobody's ever in a live game, or I think in batting practice, hit one out.
Briggs Stadium.
I think that's another good trivia
Mantle
question.
hit one up to the second row at the top, which had it been over about 5 feet would have gone out.
If
because
they had a cup of your coffee, they would have hit it out.
it was
Yeah.
if he hadn't pulled it as much. So the way the old Yankee Stadium was, it's different than the present one, but there was these big the big two upper deck up here and an upper deck over here, and then this was sort of open. So he hit it here. Had he hit it here, it would have gone out. That's what I'm talking about. But we're looking at the other side now. We're looking at the right field side. No, you're looking at Washington now. You're not looking at Yankee Stadium.
Briggs.
Oh, that's Detroit. Oh, sorry, Rob. That's Detroit. Detroit. That's Detroit pre-1961.
But where's the
Bring up Yankee Stadium.
where's the railing that came down?
At Briggs?
Yeah. The Tigers played in a stadium where on the right field, up a deck.
You're talking about Tiger Stadium.
Oh, this is good. Look
You're
at
talking
this.
about
Go
Tiger
to
Stadium.
Yeah.
You're talking Tiger Stadium, which is about 1960 to 1999.
Oh,
Hey, look, what are we looking at here on
The mayor, I think, wanted.
yeah. Well,
Yankee
here's the
Stadium.
one. Here's the one we're looking for.
I just don't want to.
We're looking for is you want his last home run? 536, 9/20/68. Now I'm looking for the one with the longest. Longest home run was on 9/10/60. Want to try that? So Mantle was really the first player I'm sure there were players that used to hit home runs really far, but they didn't used to measure them. But Mantle was the first one where they started talking about tape measure home runs. You know, and he would, in a ballpark, he was the only one to hit the ball out of the ballpark. Now we got a couple like that, right? I mean, you got a couple of Ohtani is like, well, not actually Ohtani. Ohtani's a home run hitter. Judge is really
Judge Soto.
are the ones who can really hit it
Oh yeah.
a ton.
So this is the alleged flight path of the longest home run on September 10th, 1960.
That's it, right here. But it didn't go out of the ballpark.
It didn't.
It hit the top there.
So this is disinformation.
Absolutely.
This is fake news.
But that's not Yankee Stadium.
Yes, it is. That's the old Yankee Stadium.
Is it?
Oh, that's the one I remember as a baby. That's before. There are
How old were you when you entered
there
your
are
first?
three Yankee Stadiums. There's the
Three.
original Yankee Stadium built in 21, 22, the house that Ruth built. There's the second one rebuilt in the early 70s. And I'll show you. And it's like a bowl. It's the one in the it should be the one in the far right down there at the bottom. But you notice the difference.
Oh, that was
Yankee Stadium had
Yeah,
a
you can.
roof.
Yeah.
Yankee Stadium had a roof. So if you look at the first Yankee Stadium on the left, they hadn't built it out yet, right? But they still had the roof. Then I think the second Yankee Stadium would probably be the one on the right. Notice the roof is built out a little more. Then the third Yankee Stadium, which would be in the corner left, the roof is built out even further. Right below both of those roofs are the bullpens. So if you sat in those seats up there, you could look down into the bullpen. And the home run that I remember being the longest, which is not that one, is one that was hit just a little shy of the opening, but high enough so it would have gone out. But it hit the back of the roof.
Mm.
Now show us that other one. This is very important that we get this right. I hope you're interested. That is very, very ridiculous. He never hit one that far. But that's not Yankee Stadium. What am I talking about?
Oh no, this is the longest.
Yeah,
home run.
Yeah.
okay, that's not Yankee Stadium. But hey, dopey.
Yeah, Steven trying to do sports.
I was
Yeah.
I was trying to mention that, but you shot me down.
Yeah,
I
no,
didn't
no,
think
I'm
it was.
sorry. I'm sorry. I thought
I think
that was,
that's the one that was
yeah,
to him specifically.
yeah. Paul, can you make out the name? See, can you tell who
So
gave up that?
who gave up that home run on 9-10?
We can't read his name.
Paul
See, what's the date?
9-10-60.
Mickey Mantle, home run,
9-10-60, September 10th.
September 10th, 1960. So bear with us, folks. We're doing a lot here.
So how old were you when you went to your
There's
first
a
Red
Tiger
Sox
Stadium
game?
pitcher
I
with
mean,
Paul
Yankee game.
Foytek for the Detroit Tigers.
Who?
Left-handed pitcher Paul Foytek,
I remember.
There you go.
Oh, well, I will tell you, the first game I went to,
643 feet.
someone very kindly got me the scorecard many, many years later because I remembered it and I described it in a speech in New Hampshire. And I said that my first game, the Yankees played the Red Sox. And it was a game in which Joe and Dominic DiMaggio both played. And when they got up, they both hit singles to each other.
Oh, really?
Very first time at the plate. And the Yankees won.
Because
And
of course they did.
and I seem to remember that Ed Lopat was the pitcher. I'm not sure I remembered it right away. So this guy came up to me and he said, I'm a baseball trivia genius or whatever. I'm going to find that for you. So he goes through the two seasons. Was it 50 or 51? Luckily for me now, DiMaggio, both of them were injured at various times during those two seasons. So there were a lot of times when the Yankees faced the Red Sox that Dominic didn't play. And a lot of times when the Yankees faced the Red Sox and Joe didn't play. But here was the game in August of 1951, DiMaggio's last year. And I was a little wrong. Dominic hit a single to Joe the first time he got up. And he was the leadoff hitter for the Red Sox. So it was the first hit of the game. Joe made out the first time and then hit a single to him the second time up. And the pitcher was Ed Lopat. And the Yankees did win close, like 5-3. So he went back and searched around and he found somebody with a scorecard. And I have the scorecard of it.
Wow. But the retention of how you remember how all this went down is
I remember that
crazy.
forever. I mean, it was my first game at Yankee Stadium, and you know what it's like when you first look at a baseball field. It's like, I don't know what it's like. You just come out and you see you're in the back and you come out and there it is, the whole stadium, and it was
It's nothing like it.
Yeah.
Have you been? You've been to Fenway, obviously.
Oh, I love Fenway. I think Fenway is
Museum.
I think Fenway is the most interesting ballpark in baseball, and it has Comiskey Park beat by a lot.
Over Wrigley.
Wrigley. Wrigley is too open. It's too open. It looks like a cow pasture. Big. Because it's in the West. Fenway also reminds me a lot of Ebbets Field, which is where the Dodgers played. The Dodgers played at Ebbets Field in the heart of Brooklyn, right off Bedford Avenue. And Dodger Stadium, the balls would fly out of because it was very, unlike the Giants played at Polo Grounds with a center field of about 480.
Wow.
The Yankees had about 460. The Dodgers must have been about 10 feet. And particularly for right-handed hitters, because they had a big scoreboard that moved over toward right field, which made it hard for lefties to hit home runs. But righties could get a lot of home runs. Yankee Stadium was just the opposite. Yankee Stadium was built for Babe Ruth, for lefties to get home runs. So when they played each other, it was very interesting. But the Yankees were better designed to play in a ballpark going both ways than the Dodgers. The Dodgers would get beaten by the Yankees consistently because all their right-handed hitters would hit these long home runs, 400 feet, and DiMaggio and Mantle go catch them. And you could see them banging their bats down. So then in 1977 and 78, when the Yankees and the Los Angeles Dodgers played, and I went to the first game, one of the Fairley gets up, who was a power hitter for the Dodgers, and he hits one about 400 feet in Yankee Stadium, and Mickey Rivers goes and catches it. And I say, we're going to beat them again. They're going to do the same damn thing. They're going to keep trying that. Then they're not going to make it. So the Yankees beat them 2 out of 3 that time. They played 3 times in that period of time. The Dodgers won 2 and the Yankees won 1. Now, last year, we got embarrassed by them. I was so embarrassed losing to the Dodgers.
Were you pissed?
Embarrassed. I mean, I grew up beating the Dodgers. The year the Yankees lost, the one time they lost, the Yankees beat the Brooklyn Dodgers like 7 out of 8 times. The one time they lost was in 1955, and they revenged it in 56. And I thought the world had ended.
The Dodgers team is incredible. There's literally no flaws.
The World Series was ridiculous. It looked like, I mean, the Yankees were a hell of a team.
And I would like to argue Babe Ruth was the worst trade that they've ever made, obviously.
Yeah.
Second worst trade was Mookie Betts. It's terrible. We traded Mookie for nothing.
Yeah, you got away with some trades. Like you traded some real stinkers to us. Who's the guy that ever played for us?
What year are you talking about?
Oh, recently, the last 10
guy
years.
that never played for you.
Yeah.
Oh, the outfielder?
Yeah. He was a good hitter.
He was part of the Mookie trade, actually.
We got him instead of Mookie. Great.
Well, obviously, there would have been a riot in Boston if we traded Mookie Betts to the Yankees.
Why? Did they think it was over?
I just don't think they wanted to pay him.
Clemens too fast.
Well, Clemens came on his own.
No, but Clemens went to Toronto before he went to the Yankees.
Correct, but I think it was a free agent contract. I don't know if it was in a trade.
He didn't want to stay in Boston. They wouldn't give enough money.
I believe so, yeah.
He won 4 Cy Youngs after that. 2
Did he go?
Went to Toronto for 2 seasons and won the Cy Young one once.
Did he go to the Hall of Fame as a Yankee?
Hasn't gone to the Hall of Fame yet.
He hasn't. Yeah, you're right.
Because of the
steroid.
Right.
So what do you think of that? There was a good article that Bobby Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame.
Barry.
Written in the Wall Street Journal.
Barry Bonds.
You think he should be in the Hall of Fame?
Barry, yeah. I'm a little biased. I was a kid when that was all happening. So.
But shouldn't it be? I mean,
Trump just pardoned Pete Rose, saying that.
Oh, I would have pardoned Pete Rose too. I thought what they did to Pete Rose was look
atrocious. He bet on his team, man.
Okay, well, what are we going to execute him? Betting on your team, you go to jail for 2 years. You go to jail for 3 years. You hold up a store, you go to jail for a year. We don't penalize people for life unless it's a horrendous crime.
Oh, I know. I'm agreeing with you. He bet for us. He never bet on his team to lose.
But we don't know that. I mean, he says that.
We don't know that.
People, let's assume we can't believe him because he bet on his team.
The biggest argument that you could make in sports, the biggest comparison is right now they're paid much more lucrative than Pete Rose would have gotten paid.
Right.
So and not that it's an excuse, not that I'm saying I condone it, but it's like like they weren't getting paid what they're getting paid now.
One of the reasons we have law and equity, right, is because rules are rules, but fairness is fairness also. And rules can be sometimes very unfair. Now, you want to evaluate the best ball player, don't start trying to evaluate the best man. Who knows what the rest of them did that were worse than anything Pete Rose ever did? And even the guys who took the shit, they hardly, it all began, they didn't even know what the hell they were doing.
Right.
And they were doing it to improve performance.
Right.
And it
That's
actually,
what you're supposed to do.
it improved the game.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing them all take that, to be honest with you.
I would, and I have a way of handling it.
Well, you
Put them in the Hall of Fame with an asterisk that you have to consider that, but don't let them have the records. The record should now be Judge. You should a modern ball player shouldn't be expected to hit. How many home runs did Bonds get? 73. Without taking that juice, if we take the juice away, in the 130-year history of baseball, only 3 people have hit 60 home runs or more. Right? Babe Ruth, Roger Maris, and Aaron Judge. It means it's pretty hard to do.
Yeah.
Now you hit 60 home runs without the stuff, or you hit 65, you have the record. But who's going to hit 73 home runs?
I don't even think the asterisk should be there, to be honest.
Keep it the record?
It's just because, like, if you're putting somebody in with an asterisk, then you begin a conversation. Well, he's in, but he has an asterisk. next to
Well,
it.
that's
in
the
the Hall of
point.
Fame.
I think that's the point.
It's not the Hall of Fame. He should be in the Hall of Fame 100%.
Without an
The
asterisk.
record should be
With an asterisk.
the next guy who hits the guy. I don't know. I've forgotten. Did Judge have 62 or 63?
I believe.
So that's the real record for me. You hit 65 home runs, you have the record. You can't look at Sammy Sosa wouldn't have hit 20 home runs if he didn't juice up, by the way.
And cork his bat.
Yeah, I mean Sammy
That
Sosa,
home run derby was at Fenway, 98.
he was the
Never
biggest
forget it.
joke. He was the biggest joke.
Great for baseball.
Unbelievable
They
for
argued,
baseball.
like,
They
at
all
least
were
that's what they
great.
argue. I wasn't.
Mark McGuire
was
was
that great for
unbelievable.
baseball?
Yeah, it was.
It was great at the
I-
time and terrible in retrospect.
I was a teenager. I was 13. The All-Star game was at
The
Fenway.
year of the
98.
McGuire and Sosa.
The
I blame baseball more than I do the players because baseball should have gotten control of it. And baseball should have gotten control of it 8 years earlier when they started using it for weightlifting and
Giambi, right? Giambi's one of those guys that.
oh,
Was, yeah.
Giambi was like that, and his legs were about this big,
It's like a cartoon character.
and then like this.
Canseco.
Yeah.
Canseco, I think he admitted to something and not everything.
And then
Yeah, I gotta look
when they
back at-
stopped using it, or it started to create side effects, they fell apart. I mean, absolutely fell apart. Couldn't do anything. So it's a shame. It's just a shameful period in baseball. But if a guy has a whole career around which he played baseball, a lot of it without that, it shouldn't be denied. It should be allowed. Bobby Bonds was going to be in the Hall of Fame as just a great all-around ball player.
Barry.
Barry Bonds. Right? Bobby isn't. His father was a very good ball player, but not quite him. A-Rod should be in the Hall of Fame. A-Rod had 50 home runs before they ever heard of juicing as a rookie. A-Rod is the only right-handed hitter after juicing that was the first right-handed hitter to 50 home runs in Yankee Stadium. Judge has now done it 3 or 4 times, but nobody else has. Even Joe DiMaggio couldn't do that. So, I mean, there are things. I also have another pet peeve. I think Roger Maris should be in the Hall of Fame. I think if he doesn't have the career record, close, but he has an achievement that nobody else has. In all those years, no one even, but they came 2 home runs away from Ruth's record, but no one beat it. He did. He should be in the Hall of Fame for that achievement. If you did something exceptional nobody else has ever done, you should be there. Or Don Larson, only perfect game in the World Series or playoffs. You should be in. You could have a special category for that. Well, now that we have solved all the problems of baseball and convinced ourselves that we're scared of the Dodgers, both the Yankee fan and the Red Sox fan.
That's correct. I agree.
We're both scared of the Dodgers.
Very good.
I'm going to have to forget all my years as a Yankee fan. They just bought the team.
Good. Well, I want to know. We didn't spend too much time. What's it like being a lawyer in this industry? That's got to be quite. quite interesting.
Well, the industry is very unique. It is very competitive. It is very unloyal at the same time. Sports, I was involved even before I even became an attorney, in a marketing level.
Yeah.
And it's just a interesting dichotomy.
It's all money right now.
College.
It's well, the college
The
aspect
NIL
is
is like a
unbelievable.
Free for all, right?
I mean, it's transparent. Like Reggie Bush is a prime example because all these trustees of these major universities were always giving, the ones that had car dealerships were literally giving cars to these players in
Well,
order for them
I
to.
think it's better it's out in the open.
Absolutely,
I think
of course it is.
whether it should happen or not is a different thing. But if it's going to happen, it should be in the open.
Some of these college players are going to be making big money and being recruited. I mean, there's a reason, when you're thinking about being a Boston guy,
Right.
are the best coach that ever came from Boston is now in the college system.
Right.
UNC, Bill Belichick.
Right. Right.
He's probably a fan of yours.
He is, and he's a friend.
Yes.
Now, Bill, how do you deal with the Bill and Brady thing?
Well, I'm a
A
little.
lot of people's. By the way, I love Bill Belichick for a second reason, which you have to think real hard to figure out. So I'm on Belichick's side on this, but a lot of people will say that, well, as soon as Brady left,
I was Team Bill at the time.
Mhm.
I was, because I was hoping that he would still find success when Brady would have left.
I think the whole team got old at once.
Now you could say that,
And
like
Brady held it
now
together.
Brady was just his mind and his motivation is unbelievable.
Yeah, he had them playing over. We'll have to see how he does. We'll have to see how he does in college.
Belichick,
Yeah.
it's going to be definitely interesting to see
Yeah.
for sure.
Now remember he was already a famous coach before he became a head coach. He had two
With the Giants,
he was a defensive genius with the Giants.
Lawrence Taylor was his favorite player.
Lawrence Taylor,
Oh, really?
he took
LT?
Lawrence Taylor and used him, and Lawrence Taylor will tell you this, used him in ways that football players have never been used before. When Lawrence Taylor came to the Giants, he was their fastest player. Faster than any running back, faster than any wideout. He could catch anybody. He could play safety. He could play linebacker, which is what he was. And he could be a defensive end. He was strong enough.
Well, that's what Bill likes. He likes
And
flexible.
for his first
yeah.
5 years, he did that. And Belichick could hide him. There was no Belichick would use him all different places. Just move him around. Giants played a game with the Washington Redskins for the Eastern Division title, and
It wasn't the Commanders.
yeah, the Commanders.
That's right, man.
They triple teamed him. They followed him around the field with 3 players.
So
And Carl Banks had 17 sacks.
So is Bill Belichick the greatest NFL head
He
coach?
has to be with the
I think
record.
so,
He has to
for
be.
sure.
How can you fight it?
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and put
Well,
fellow
he still
Italian New
still
Yorker.
wants.
You want
I'm gonna put a
Don
fellow
Shula.
Italian New Yorker in that list.
you can't
The great and one.
you
no,
can't make
Vincent
a different
Lombardi.
era. I mean, Lombardi
Totally different.
was an unbelievable coach.
Mhm.
I mean, was he as great? Yeah, he was as great, but I mean, just on numbers, if you do it on numbers, Belichick.
Mayor, imagine
Also, Lombardi, very similar, was a offensive coach for the Giants that won a NFL championship before he went to the Packers.
Yeah, Mayor, would you leave? Imagine in the prime of your career, what your profession, his profession, leaving what you consider the greatest city in the world and moving to Green Bay, Wisconsin to take a job. And he put Green Bay on the map. No, why do people know where Green Bay, Wisconsin is? It's got a rich history beyond football. But let's be honest, right? Vincent Lombardi put it on the map. Name another head coach that put a city on the map.
No, I would say that's right. And he
We were all kind of biased.
We said he was from Michigan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
It
I'll
doesn't
tell you-
show.
Upper Peninsula,
I'll tell you-
the UP. I got to show you a map.
so his great move was to take Horning.
Paul Horning.
who the Packers had drafted #1 because he was the Notre Dame coach and the Notre Dame quarterback and the Heisman Trophy winner. And they're going to put him at quarterback. And then they had this other guy Bart Starr. So before he came to the Packers, the Packers were like 2-10 or 2-12 or something. He comes to the Packers and he grabs Horning, who he had watched a lot, and he said, "You want to be in the Hall of Fame?" And Horning says, "Sure, coach." He said, "You think you could trust me?" Said, "I guess, yeah, I don't even know you." I said, "But I'm going to ask for a lot of confidence in you because you should really be a halfback. You're a terrific runner. I can do an option pass like I did with Frank Gifford with the Giants and won a championship with it. They don't even know. It'll take them 3 years to figure the option pass out." He said, "You can also be a wideout. You can also catch passes. You can throw 1 out of 4 times, 1 out of 5 times. You can run." Oh, by the way, he was also their kicker. Horning was there.
Really?
Place
Wow.
at the beginning. Horning one time had the record for the most points in football because he scored as a kicker, he scored as a runner, he scored as a receiver, and he scored as a passer. So Bart Starr, he put Bart Starr in. Horning didn't like it, except the first year he became the MVP of the league. And then he became the Golden Boy. And then he became an All-Star. And then he became a Hall of Famer. And then he got caught for gambling and got suspended for a year. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah. He got caught for gambling on football, not on his team.
Ooh.
Wow, they keep that one. Green Bay's known to have a
They lost a year, but I think I'm not sure. We'd have to check to see if they won a championship.
I'm surprised that Coach Lombardi would allow that.
He didn't allow it. The
How would
guy
he
was
know?
suspended.
Yeah. Wow. So maybe he's the one that's
No, the thing he said when he was suspended, he didn't go fight for him. He didn't let the team go appeal. He said no appeal.
Like you, Mayor, Coach Lombardi was almost a priest.
Yeah, he used to make.
You're almost a priest.
Turned out he
like me, he remained
he
much
liked
more
what-
faithful. He went to mass every day.
He did in Green Bay.
Every day, he and his wife.
He did. I mean, man, coaching football, right?
They had a terrible mouth.
He really did. He really did. I think
He
he
had a
maybe
New
thought he
York
could
mouth.
make it up.
And he was a football player for Fordham.
And he left his mark on Green Bay.
He was one of the, when New York had good football teams, he was one of the rocks of granite. He was a lineman for the
wall of granite
for the Fordham Rams.
Was that New Rockney or is that after?
I think we had
After
breaking news as I
That
sat
was-
down.
That was
New Rock-
yeah.
Giants
Notre Dame.
Giants have a new quarterback,
Who is it?
Jameis Winston.
Oh, and you're kidding.
Yeah.
They signed Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
He's kind of had a comeback on and off. Break one of the greatest college football seasons.
I liked some of the others better, but they were old. Winston. is
Well, they
still
were
young.
supposed they were in the running for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I was hoping they would get Rodgers, but the fact is that would only last you 1 season or 2.
Probably, yeah.
Same thing as the
Winston
Jets.
could give you 6-7 seasons.
Right.
Well, that's telling that they're probably going to draft the kid, the quarterback from Miami, Kim Ward.
Who?
Not Kim Ward. The Giants.
Uh,
Or Sanders.
Depends on who's available. I
Yeah.
guess, right. Yeah.
They could make a deal.
I can see it. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens.
When is the draft?
Oh, it's actually in a month, Mayor, and
About
it's
a
in
month,
yeah.
Green Bay, Wisconsin. My cousin asked if you want.
Oh, is it in Green Bay?
wow.
Oh, no way.
And my cousin lives a block from the stadium. You can see the
They
stadium
used to
from
always have it. They used to always have it at
Radio City.
Yeah.
Radio
kinda
City
like that,
Musical
but-
right
I
across
did.
the street from where I worked.
I kind of like that.
When
I
did that stop?
Oh God, about 10 years ago. Yeah.
But why?
Well, when Mayor Giuliani and this guy
When I left-
was no longer in office,
When I was no longer there, they didn't want to come.
they
back.
decided to hit the road. Who wants to be in
I
Midtown?
got to bring them up on a couple of things that just irk me. Finland has been picked as the happiest country to live. Don't they have one of the highest suicide rates?
There's no sun.
The U.S. dropped to 24th, but that's because it was Biden was the president. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, let's see if that's going to come back up with our guy in office, and we can be proud again. You're allowed to be openly proud to be an American.
So Finland, tough luck. Judge. Oh yeah. Well, we know about the judge who has to quit.
Boasberg.
Measles cases. Just in case you're worried about measles, don't.
Don't let them pull some.
Do pay attention to what's going on in China. I told you, Epic Times, Chinese residents report increased deaths. They're a bunch of They're a bunch of liars. So we're going to have to worry about them. And this weekend, we will pay attention and see what happens in Israel, because we have the Israelis now invading Gaza and trying to do away with whatever is left of Hamas. We've got the United States finally manning up, and this is no reflection, of course, on the present administration. They did it right away on the past one, and hitting the Houthis who were killing Americans, and we just let them get away with it. And the object there has to be exactly the same. You cannot defeat the Houthis. You have to eliminate the Houthis, because the Houthis want to eliminate you. And Hezbollah has gone and hid somewhere. I think they're hiding behind the Ayatollah skirts. Assad is gone, but the Syrian dictatorship, which is a Sunni dictatorship, is killing a lot of Christians. And somebody like the United States should step in and tell them to stop, or they're not going to be running Syria for too much longer. It's time that we exercise our role as one of the few moral nations in the world. And those people who feel, oh, America can't be the policeman of the world, power abhors a vacuum. And what happens? There's a vacuum, somebody comes in, and if it's the wrong one, then you have a dictatorship. And there's one sitting right there, ready to come in, and it's China. And if we don't fill up that spot, this world will be speaking Chinese in 50 years. And that's not the worst of it. I mean, right now, they're killing off the Uyghur people. They're killing off Christians left and right. They're willing to do away with another 20, 30 million of their people. They've only killed 100 million of them. And that still leaves them with 1.2 billion. So we'll be back on Monday at 7 on Mike Lindell's TV, and then we'll be back on at 8 on X. Be on X on both, and we'll be on anytime over the weekend when you need us. Something happens in Israel, something happens in Ukraine, or something else happens. It's amazing. Every day you wake up and you're shocked by something nowadays, right? But we want to keep you on top of it, because there's a lot of things you don't find out about that are hidden from you. Like nobody's telling you about what's going on in China. Nobody. I can't find it anywhere. Or the JFK papers are buried all of a sudden. Nobody questioning, how come no one ever investigated Lyndon Johnson? That's like not investigating the guy who took out $1 million policy on his wife and then she died 3 days later. Gee, even Detective Dodo would make him number one suspect, right? So thank you very, very much.
Thank you for having me.
A treasure and a great talk that we were able to have on baseball and sports, which kind of relaxes everything.
And remember, America, drink the mayor's coffee.
Yeah, mayor's coffee is great. Rudy coffee. Pray for the people in Israel. Pray for the people please pray for the people in Ukraine. They shouldn't be dying anymore. That's over. And pray that Iran becomes free, and pray for everyone that wants freedom and peace. And God, thank you very much for this country. God bless America.
Well, Senator, my understanding is that the mayor was early in endorsing you back in 2010.
Yeah. Let me guys tell you something.
Quick story.
The mayor didn't just endorse me. He called me a week after the election and wanted to go after Charlie Crist again. We don't got to keep hitting him.
She's golden rule, teaches school. Some folks say it isn't cool, but she says the pledge of allegiance anyway. He's got the red, white, blue, flying high on a farm. Semper Fi tattooed on his left arm. Spent a little more in the store for a tag, and the back it says USA. He won't buy nothing that he can't fix. With WD-40 and a Craftsman wrench, he ain't prejudice.
our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze,